All YouTubers teach you to play games the wrong way. You don't even notice it. What used to feel like cheating, now it just keeps showing up on YouTube Shorts. Again and again, every obstacle becomes bad design. It feels smart, efficient, right? Skip this, do that first, best build, fastest route, and suddenly you're not playing, you're following a script. Which means anything that slows you down feels wrong. And then you hear it in reviews. Crimson Desert, 300 hours. Like that's a flaw, like that's a warning. Like the game is wasting your time, like the game is dragging you. Like that alone should stop you from even touching the game. But hold on, where did this idea even come from? That you have to be efficient. Who are you doing this for? It's your time. If everything else clicks, if the world is good, if the systems are fun, if you actually want to be there, why does 300 hours feel like a problem? It isn't. It only feels like one. And the moment you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. Give me a few minutes and this will start making sense. What games felt like before and why something changed. You'll see what Crimson Desert does differently and why it feels like old games again. Hi, I'm Ivan01 and it starts even earlier. You don't just play like this, you decide like this. You check reviews, 300 hours, and suddenly that feels like a problem. Should I even play this? But it gets worse. You launch a game and before you even move, before the first real decision, before the first mistake, you're already thinking, okay, what's the best way to play this? Since when? Is that the first question? You open the map, you see 10 things, and instead of curiosity, you feel pressure, like you're already behind. You start optimizing without even noticing. Skip dialogue, rush objective, YouTube shows you best builds, just in case it affects your attention. You check if there is a better one, then a better hidden weapon, faster route, how to solve the puzzle. Not because you want to, but because you want to be better. And if you don't, it feels wrong, slow, inefficient, like you're wasting time. But wasting time compared to what? Who are you racing? No one. And yet it feels like you're racing someone. But it's not. It just happens. No one tells you play faster. There is no warning on screen, but the message is there, just not directly. The same way fast-paced music works in a fast food place. You don't notice it, but you eat faster, you leave sooner, you consume more. Or like the smell of buns, meat, popcorn in the theaters, it gets into you whether you want it or not. You can fight it, but you can't fully prevent it. And here's the uncomfortable part. This isn't random. It's a system, habit, a really efficient one. You finish a quest. You don't think, you search. You get stuck. You don't try, you check walkthrough guides, database sites, you're doing these wrong videos. And now, even AI, ChatGPT, Grok, Claude, now even the idea of being stuck starts to feel outdated. Because everything becomes solvable immediately, no delay, no uncertainty, no wandering around, no getting lost. Sounds good, right? It should, but something breaks quietly. Because the moment everything has an answer, you stop tryharding, you lose the fun, and the system feeds itself. A lot of YouTubers are used to making a walkthrough, shipping this series and moving to the next game. That's the rhythm, everything about views and money. But a 300-hour game breaks the rhythm. Episode 1 gets clicks, Episode 2 gets less, Episode 3 gets even less, and everyone knows it. Consecutive episodes usually lose viewers. That's normal. So now the creator is trapped. Either they stop midway, which feels like betraying the audience because they started something and didn't finish it, or they commit, and if they commit, they have to play at least 300 hours. For a YouTuber, that's not just a long game, that's a shift, around 8 weeks just to finish it if you treat it like full-time hours. And if you multiply that by 4 to turn raw playtime into the least possible version of an actually watchable series, editing, recording, reworking, cutting, thumbnail upload, that can become 8 months of work for one game. 8 months! So no, they're not just ranting and raving because they're lazy. Run around, take their time. For them, it's not an option. It's a trap, and they know it. And if you watch a major YouTuber, chances are it's a production. But for us, that means this: they turn games into routes. Best start, don't waste time, do this first, because if they don't, someone else will, faster, cleaner, more efficiently, and guess which channels win? The ones who get there first, exactly. So then we watch that, subconsciously copy their style, internalize that. And now you start thinking in terms of speed, efficiency, results, even if we don't want to. And suddenly, nobody is really playing anymore. Everyone is refining the same path. If you've ever caught yourself thinking, why am I rushing through this? Then subscribe. Games didn't become faster. We did. And now anything that slows you down feels wrong. So when did this break? Not all at once, it crept in. And if we're talking about RPGs, we have to talk about World of Warcraft, the prime years, Wrath of the Lich King. That's when the idea becomes obvious. Quests stop being the world, they become obstacles on the way to the end game, to the raids. Outdoor PvP? By that time it already felt like a patient on drugs, barely alive, surviving on artificial ventilation from game mechanics. And where was everyone? In Dalaran, running around in the main city, chilling and waiting, because the real goals had narrowed down. Either become the best in PvP, but specifically Arena, because Battlegrounds had no rating, too random, or beat the next PvE raid, next from Asulduar all the way to the Lich King. That's the era where min-maxing hits its prime. You had all sorts of sites like World of Logs, World Progress, Armory, and the whole Matrix culture, showing who did the most damage, who healed the most, who contributed, who underperformed. That changes people. Best raids were for the best. Failed to get the right build? Have fun with boards in Elven Forest. Raids weren't for you. The best players used their calculators and their brains to build the trickiest setups they could. The rest copied them. No raid was run without recount, the add-on that shows damage and heal. That's the shift from what works to what works best. And once best appears, everything else starts to look wrong. If there is a best build, why experiment? If there is a best rotation, why improvise? If there is a best route, why explore? So gradually we stop trying and start copying, and that pressure spreads. Games become less game and more skill, more sport. The game of numbers, faster, better, harder. Funny thing, for Blizzard, that was the epic moment when they discovered that the global cooldown system that had existed for 3 expansions could be cheated. You could avoid waiting those 1.5 seconds to cast the next spell. Think about it, how crazy that sounds now. A bug that major, existing for 5 years. Today that feels unreal. Today something like that would be found in weeks or even days, broken down in a video, explained in a post, but once you tried it, it's already patched. And that is exactly what brings us back to the start. Today we can expect content about every little aspect of a game, every quest, every build, every mechanic, every hidden thing. And if not YouTube, then AI. That's the world now. The popcorn of our time. That's the smell in the room. It gets into us through games, through videos, through online culture, and leaves us with this foul idea that we somehow owe to the game or to ourselves to be the best and fastest version of a player. Some people say Crimson Desert feels like old games in a good way, and I think I know what they mean, because it wasn't always like that. There was a feeling, hard to explain. It's like most of us don't even really remember a world without ads everywhere. If you see a colorized black and white photo, it suddenly feels modern, like it wasn't taken back then. But something feels off. Ads. There is no ads. It feels surreal. That same feeling existed in games. The feeling that maybe only you would discover something, only you would find that Easter egg, only you would solve that quest, only you would stumble upon in that weird little secret. That feeling was much easier to have before around 2005 to 2007. Why? Because back then you couldn't expect an army of editors to attack every single game and produce a walkthrough, a quest database, and 10 versions of the same solution. There were magazines, there were papers, there were small websites, but nothing close to what we have now. Even 10 years ago you already had sites with quest information. Today, you expect YouTube to cover every detail and popular quests to be covered from different angles. And if that still isn't enough, LLMs can help you brute force the rest. But what did it feel like before that? Take Ultima Online. That was brutal. You might not even get the quest if you didn't guess the right keyword. Literally, you had to try to have a meaningful conversation with an NPC and say the word that would trigger the quest. Say the wrong thing? Nothing. Say the right thing? Something opens. No tracker, no quest log, no safety net, nothing. And that changes the whole structure of the world. It wasn't quests with activities along the way. It was life with side activities, some of which happened to become quests. You were expected to be whatever you wanted to be, do whatever you wanted to do, just live there. Later came Classic WoW. Back then obviously it wasn't classic, it was just WoW, but the game felt different, even compared to modern classic WoW. The main activity was life and quests, maybe 70% quests, the rest PvP professions, wandering around, talking, grouping, figuring stuff out. Raids existed, sure, but raids were just one aspect of the game, and for a lot of people they were a way to become stronger in PvP, for the open world, for battlegrounds, not the entire point of existence. You couldn't even inspect the talents of your fellow raiders. Think about that! Now, that sounds impossible! Back then, people could come in with very bizarre builds. Why? Because gold was a thing. Raids weren't your whole life. You had to be ready for outdoor activities. And quests, they were not only interesting, without waypoints, they all were puzzles in a way. You could find most of them on Thoughtbot, which at that point was the quest database before Wowhead, which later surpassed it. But not every quest, and you definitely couldn't expect video guides for each quest. no comment section under every objective, no perfect route in the replies, no creators explaining the fastest version of everything. There were no map pointers telling you exactly where to run. And the fastest leveling guides? Those were myths. Nearly impossible to find one. So you had a choice. Constantly alt-tab to Thoughtbot, type, search, read, run, or try to solve it yourself. That was the decision, which would break you, and sooner or later you gave in and you kept going on your own. And because of that, the games felt different, more immersive. Not because they were magically deeper, because they left more space for you. And once that space disappears, you stop discovering, you just follow a script. But I see an interesting trend in modern games. They try to fight back, not by removing the systems, but by messing with your attention. Take Ghost of Yori. On paper, it looks normal. Map, quests, progression. But then you start moving and something pulls you away. Not a checklist, not a "you missed this" pop-up. A bird. Yeah, a bird. You're following the main path, but it lures you into a side activity. But how is that different? Because there is no clean quest name waiting for you later on Google, no waypoint, no sign, no guarantee that you will find this place again. No come back later. That's the trick. Now or never. And that creates a funny situation. You sit down thinking you'll advance a few quests. 2 hours pass and it looks like you did nothing. But that's not true. You got the thing other games don't give you. The game played with you, entertained you. You experienced the game instead of processing it. Crimson Desert seems to push that even harder. It's like a slot machine that keeps throwing things at you. Puzzles, magic, fights. You can hunt, mine, fish just because some billboard told you to. That's how absurd it gets. You can clear a camp, follow another quest line, not even the main one, fight on the way somewhere and farm something by accident. Or maybe you decide, no, this time I'm following the main quest. And even then, the game may interrupt you, not by accident, intentionally. So now you're gently forced into a choice. Do you go sleep? Do you do something else? Do you stay in the world a bit longer? That's not the game failing to focus, that's the game aggressively trying to play with you, to make you live in it, not run through it. And here's why that matters. A solo game doesn't have to do that, you already bought it. We're not talking about subscription games that need to keep you active. A single player game could just let you sprint to the end, take your money, show the credits, done. So when a game still tries to entertain you moment to moment, that means something. That's a good game, a game that wants you to play in it, not just finish it. And I think we have to actively fight the urge to take the non-gaming path, the min-maxing path, the munching path. Because playing like that is like swallowing food without tasting it. And the alternative, eating slower, fine dining, actually savoring it. And honestly, I think that applies to more than games. Play your game, not the game someone else wants you to play. So now we get back to the real question. Was it actually right for people to rant and rave about Crimson Desert being 300 hours long? Because that question matters when we make a decision. Should we buy it and play it or skip it? First, we don't owe anybody a full completion. We may enjoy the ride but never reach the end. Second, the number by itself means nothing 300 hours means nothing, because 100 hours of Ghost of Yoti is not the same as 100 hours of Assassin's Creed Shadows. Not even close. One of them plays with you, the other can feel like a drag, like an obligation, like something you need to finish instead of something you want to stay in. You felt this before. Outside games, too. A lesson is 45 minutes, always, and yet one lesson feels like 2 hours, another feels like 10 minutes. What changes? Not the clock, the experience. That's what matters. Perception of time, weight of time. A bad 20-hour game can feel longer than a great 100-hour game. So hearing 300 hours tells me almost nothing. The only real question is, how does that time feel? Does it pull you in, or do you push through it? And I think that plays in Crimson Desert's favor. Why? Because I don't think there will be massive support for people torturing themselves for 300 hours just to prove a point. And if the experience actually holds, then for $70 you're getting 300 hours of interesting time, not just content, experience. So, what do you think about a 300-hour-long game, if everything else okay? Drop it in the comments. Because that's the whole problem. We never know if it will click, but we still have to take a leap of faith, put time into it. So if you want to figure that out with me, the next episodes will break it down. Next time, we'll see how the prologue introduces the game, the story, the mechanics, and how exactly it makes you play, not rush. See you later.